Hello students, here we are again to discuss the chapter, the 10th chapter of history, that is third book, Modern India, and we are at the third part of the lecture. We have discussed so far about the East India Company, about the rule of the East India Company. We have also discussed that it was a trading company appointed by the British government but began to interfere in the internal matters of the Indians. And particularly the thing that they took was the peasants, the most productive work they do in the country. And I also told you that more than 72% people fed upon agriculture at that time. When East India Company was there in India, particularly we are talking about Bengal and the area which is North Bengal we are talking about, it was inhabited by many communities. It was inhabited by different tribes, peasantry class, and they were growing day by day, particularly the Pahadis in the Rajmahal hills, about which we had discussed earlier also. The Pahadis, they tend to adopt more and more agricultural operations. Understand? They were using all the old methods of agriculture, so fertility of the land did not meant for them. And actually, instead of plowing the land, they used to scratch the land. Instead of plowing, scratching the land, and that is why the fertility of the soil was not much affected, because they were just doing the shifting agriculture, going up and down, going to the hill areas during the summers, going to the hilly areas, and during the winters coming to the plains. So they were doing like this. Now when the East India Company noticed them, fifth report we had discussed yesterday, that in the fifth report there were lots of discussion, the report containing 1002 pages, containing the different arguments and the criticism and communication between the zamindars, between the British officials, etc. So the Paharis, they still depended on the hoe, that is a very old agricultural tool, and I told you that could not till the land very properly, but only scratch the land. And these were noticed by the officials of the East India Company, because you know that the main intention of the company was to derive revenue and to interfere in their matters of agriculture, produces, fixing revenue on them, taking their advantage, other seizes, etc. So these Paharis, they were a very strong section at that time in Bengal, and particularly in the Rajmahal hills, and the East India Company, they wanted that they should work according to their own according to the instructions given to them by the East India Company's officials. But you know, they were not ready to subdue. They refused to subdue. Subdue means they refused to surrender before the British officials, and the British officials fixed the annual allowance for them. That annual allowance will be given to them, and you and they were limited to certain areas, certain hills, certain hilly areas of the Rajmahal. Okay, they were limited over there. Then another group, I told you that there were so many tribal groups, there were so many communities living in Bengal and other areas of India at that time. So it was Santhals, about which you have read in your junior classes also. These Santhals, they were aware about the agricultural operations, and they believed in plowshare. They were also given particular areas in India by the company to carry on their production process, to carry on their agricultural process with the help of plow, and they could better work on the field as compared to the Paharis. And in most of the parts of their agricultural land, they were growing tobacco and mustard, particularly tobacco and mustard. And later on, they were asked by the British officials to grow more crops. Gradually, this group of Santhals, they became very, very strong in India. Gradually, they were earning money, they were also interacting with the British officials, with the officials of the East India Company, and they were growing, and after some time, it became a very rich section, a very rich class of the Indian society, and they also adopted the commercial farming. So yesterday I told you, I gave you a hint that there was an enmity between hoe and plow. So this is what? They were depending on hoe. not subduing before the officials of the East India Company. They are not subduing, but they are showing the signs of richness. They are showing the signs of improvement, progress to the company, and they are becoming richer day by day, and they are adopting the commercial cropping also, the commercial crops also. Compare, they are still depending on the shifting agriculture, and they are going for commercial farming, commercial crops. And as obvious, we have discussed earlier that the company's officials were only concerned with the benefits. So the benefit was had from the Santhals, obviously. Gradually, when the Santhals were coming up, when they were using plough, when they were adopting to the commercial farming, it was the stage where the Pahari community was getting impoverished. Impoverished means, impoverished word is derived from poverty, becoming poor day by day. And they were becoming weak. So, in their minds there were ideas, there was tendency to revolt against their miserable condition. So, they were impoverished after some time. Santhals were distributed land by the company's officials known as Damineko. Damineko, because at that time most of the official work was done in Persian language. Persian, because this was the language of the rulers of the medieval period in India. So Damineko was declared that this land is given to the Santhals. These Santhals became so influential, they became so strong in India that previously there were 40 villages for them, for the Santhals alone. 40 villages for them where they could do their agricultural operations, they could do cropping, commercial cropping, they could grow according to their own thinking, because I told you that they were very good in all these agricultural operations and having a plough. And Pahadis, they refused to use plough. One more thing I want to tell you, that because of the plough and because of they were ready to cooperate with the company's officials, actually by this time company's officials were aware that they needed the forest areas. In 9th class also you have read about the peasants and farmers and the British policies to abandon the forest areas, to abandon the open fields, etc. So they were ready to do for them, Santhals. They were not. So they were also used for the clearing of forest. Some of the tribals, they were unhappy because forests were the means of earning livelihood for them. And most of the produces, most of the land that was used by these communities and these groups of people, and that was their traditional right, that was their ancestral right for them. So they did it. They also cleared forests for the Britishers and they did whatever they wanted, the East India Company. Then previously they were limited to 40 villages. And can you think, after some time it was 1,473 villages inhabited by the Santhals. And do you remember, that is why they revolted in 1855 before the revolt of 1857, demanding more facilities, demanding more privileges for themselves. And they were warring tribe, good agricultural tribe plus warring tribe, the Santhals. So 40 villages and then extended to 1,473 villages. And obviously when we are talking about the extension of the villages by the Santhals, obviously there was growth of population also. Gradually the population of the Santhals, which was about 3,000 in the 18th century, and beginning of the 19th, and it came to 82,000 after some time. Within few years it was 82,000. So they were coming up gradually, correct? So this tribe was coming up. Meanwhile, Bucknun, a British official, Britishers used to send their officials time to time to India to see, to learn the geographical condition of the country, because their aim was to survive for more and more time in India, known for its raw materials, etc. So Bucknun, he was not welcomed, remember, by any of the community of India. And actually the Santhals and the others, the tribes which were living in the country, they didn't like the officials to come, because some of the historians, they say that they were afraid of them. And some of the historians say that they were not afraid because they themselves were warring tribes. They were not afraid, actually they were irritated by all these people, and they wanted that these officials should not come, and if they come they will interfere in their matters. So this was the reason that they wanted to alienate them from their areas. But Buchanan was sent by the British to learn about the land, to see the different areas, to see the different parts of the country, the geographical condition, and how they could derive more and more from the areas which were inhabited by them. Particularly, I told you yesterday that it was Bengal, the whole area was under the Britishers, and they were developing the city Calcutta at that time. So Buchanan came to India. He surveyed the different parts of Bengal, North Bengal, etc. The different areas were surveyed, that which areas in India contain rocks, because you know rocks contain minerals, and there were mineral based industries in the country, in England, and they wanted minerals. I told you that they were very much aware about the environmental problems, about the ecological imbalance in their own country, but not for India, not at all, because they wanted to derive maximum. There was drain of wealth from all sides. So he came. He studied the different parts which contain rocks, different types of rocks containing minerals. Then he also surveyed different areas in India which were very fertile, because this was the period when cotton textile mills were being set up in different European countries, particularly England. It was the first country to experience industrialization. And for the industries, first of all, they needed minerals, which I told you just now, and then they needed cotton. When there was a civil war in America, then their trade was disrupted, because from America also the cotton supply was affected badly. So now they wanted to search some of the areas in India from where they could derive cotton and minerals and other agricultural products. Moreover, for all these things, they also wanted clearing of forest. So Buchanan, actually he himself could not do anything except the instructions given by the Britishers to him, that what are the target areas, what are the areas where he should target, and that could benefit the Britishers in a long run, for longer time. It could be a benefit for them. So he visited fertile lands. He also visited those forests which could be cleared off and where transportation and communication could be started, and also the areas from where the different parts, the distant parts of India could be connected, particularly the Deccan, the western part of the country, the Deccan area, that could be connected. But because Deccan area is also full of minerals, because it contains different types of rocks. So Buchanan was not welcomed by the different communities and tribes, by the people of India, but in fact he was on duty. He had to come to India on duty to look and to search the different areas which could benefit the British government in a long run. Whereas there was one more motive, that was the East India Company's officials were in India. In my first lecture also I told you that British government, that is Queen Victoria and her officials, they wanted that the company should remain a trading company only, but they were getting reports about the company's misrule, maladministration in the country, about company's misrule, which was fading, which was defaming the name of Britishers, that is that they are not doing good in India. So that was defaming their picture in the world. And remember that this was the period when the colonial powers, they wanted that their image should not be damaged. Their image should be very good. So Buchanan was also sent to India to also look into the working, to also look into the activities of the company and different areas of the country, so that they could rule for longer time, they could rule for longer years in the country. So like this, in 1855 Santhals revolted. They wanted more and more land, they wanted more and more privileges in the country. They were higher revenue, because the company's officials, they used to, whenever there was good crop, they used to increase the revenue. So increasing revenue had always been a cause of revolts. So this was the beginning of revolts in the country. In 1850s, in 1860s, there were different types of revolts. About the revolt of 1857, we have a separate chapter. We will discuss in detail. So tomorrow we will discuss about what happened after this when Santals became a tribe and they became a very strong tribe in the country. And what happened further, we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you, students.